All right, so in this video, we want to state the degree, leading coefficient, and end behaviors of each of these polynomial equations over here. So let's talk about the degree first. The degree is just the largest exponent in the question, in the polynomial function. The leading coefficient is just the constant in front of the largest degree. And then the end behaviors are what happens as x approaches negative and positive infinity. So before we solve any problems, let me just talk a bit more about end behaviors. We have four types of functions. A positive even function. So this is like x squared or 2x4 or 3x6. As you can see, the degrees are all even numbers and the coefficients are all positive. So a positive even function, no matter what happens in the middle, will always go towards the top on both ends. So as x approaches negative infinity, y is approaching positive infinity, because as I'm going towards the left, my function is going up. And as I'm going towards positive infinity, as I'm going towards the right, my function is also going up. So for a positive even function, basically I approach positive infinity on both ends. Y approaches positive infinity. We can have a negative even function. And some examples are negative x squared, negative 2x4, negative 3x6. As you can see, the degrees are still even. The functions are now negative. So what happens for a negative even function is that no matter what happens in the middle, how many times it goes back and forth, at the ends, both sides will go down. As I'm going towards the left, as x is approaching negative infinity, y is also going towards negative infinity because y is going downwards, which is negative infinity. And as x approaches positive infinity, as I'm going towards the right, y is also going downwards, which is approaching negative infinity. So that's how even functions work. We have positive even, negative even. Let's talk about a positive odd function. Some examples are x cubed, 2x5, 3x7. As you can see, the degrees are all odd, but the coefficients are all positive. And again, no matter what happens in the middle, for a positive odd function, we know that the left side is going down and the right side is going up. So as I'm going towards the left, as x is approaching negative infinity, y is going down, which is also approaching negative infinity. And as x is approaching positive infinity, as I'm going towards the right, y is approaching positive infinity. Now we can finally come to our last case, which is a negative odd function. Some examples are negative x cubed, negative 3x5, negative 4x7. As you can see, the degrees are all odd, but the coefficients are all negative. So a negative odd function is always going to be like this, no matter what's happening in the middle. So my end behaviors as x is approaching negative infinity, as I'm going towards the left, y is approaching positive infinity, I'm going up. And as x is approaching positive infinity, as I'm going to the right, y is going down, which is basically approaching negative infinity. So let's put this into practice. Let's do these four examples over here. Should be relatively quick. First function over here, my degree. My largest exponent in this is 4. So my degree is 4. My leading coefficient is negative 4 because it's a constant with my largest degree, so it's negative. Well, negative 4, you can say. So this is a negative even function. A negative even function, I know, goes down on both ends, which is just as x approaches negative infinity, y is approaching negative infinity, and as x approaches positive infinity, y approaches negative infinity. Basically the same answer as all negative even functions over here. You just have to match each function to the right graph and then basically state the solution. This second one here, my largest degree is 5. My leading coefficient is positive 2. This is a positive odd function. The positive odd function is just over here. As x approaches negative infinity, y is approaching negative infinity, and as x approaches positive infinity, y is also approaching positive infinity. Let's go to the third function over here. The largest degree in this third function is 3. My degree is 3. My leading coefficient is negative 3. So this is a negative odd function. And negative odd function, again, if you match it to the graphs I showed earlier, as x approaches negative infinity, y is approaching positive infinity, and as x approaches positive infinity, y is approaching negative infinity. This last question here is in factored form. So whenever you have factored form, you want to multiply all the x terms. So 2x times x is 2x squared, times 3x is 6x cubed, times 4x is 24x4. So this is my largest degree and leading coefficient. So my degree is 4 and my leading coefficient is 24. This is a positive even function. So we know that for positive even functions, as x is approaching both infinity and negative infinity, y is approaching positive infinity for both of them because the graph is going up on both sides.